So the body is actually going through metamorphosis, it's changing. And so the level in which your true eternal consciousness can be poured into the body is dependent on the well-being and the health of that body.
What would it look like to prepare yourself to live for 500 years, 200, 300 years to figure out what you're supposed to be doing and to completely embody that?
So that mutation, DNA mutation, is taking place right now with this generation, with this lineage. When it's cosmic, it will be able to travel across dimensions without any technology. It is the body of Earth and the body of the human, right, that allows us to travel, that allows us to grow, to expand, to pass through the spiritual initiation. So welcome to Lineage Liberators podcast. Welcome. My name is Joe Mkabi, and I'm here with Web, the one born without the veil, Lineage Liberators, born with full vision to see our multidimensional reality. Lineage Liberators podcast. You are on a unique mission of inner traveling.
Lineage Liberators.
Purify and pave the path for those who have fallen. Lineage Liberators podcast, spiritualizing, evolving, and liberating human DNA, consciousness, and lineages. We've been having a lot of transformation changes. So September has been a very, very powerful, profound month, not just for us, but for everyone involved in the path of healing, right? And for us, those changes, we're already feeling them very deeply, and they're already going to be reflected in the coming weeks, even with the podcast itself, right? But yeah, I wanted us to start with just like announcing a little bit of that energetic change that's going to happen, announcing that tomorrow, when you're watching this will be the last day to enroll in our membership. This is the last time to enroll this year. As I've said, a lot of changes happening. These changes are good changes, because we're stepping into what we've always wanted to do and what we've always been interested in, and that's the mysteries, like bringing the mysteries, the ancient future mysteries, back to the awakening lineage and the awakening collective, the different healers of Earth, the different grill keepers of Earth. The energies are intense, really. As we're doing this transmission, there's been a huge energetic shift just before we started our recording today, and that shift is a density, right, that is in the morphogenetic fields, and it's connected to the density that has been happening for the collective. And this density is around the shoulders, in particular, around the upper part of the body, which is reflecting a certain level of burden. The collective has been feeling burdened and a burden. And this is connected to the spiritual warfare that has been taking place. There's been a lot of spiritual warfare that has been ongoing as the oracles, as I'm doing right now, entering the fields to read and see what is unfolding. Right. So before an event happens in the physical, it is happening in the spirit, and the recording of that event is seen in the morphogenetic field of an individual, of a land, of a continent, of the whole planet, right? So we are always in the past ourselves, right? This event in this moment already happened, and we're just playing it out. It was already imprinted in our fields, right? And then we just play it at the moment, at the right time, location, when it's supposed to play out in the physical realm. But our spirits long played it out, and we pick up these imprints, and we choose which imprints, which energetic, which timeline is going to play out. right? And this is going to be based on your own one free will, and it's going to be based on your soul and the soul lessons you are in. It's going to be based on your connection to your spirit. It's also going to be based on your spiritual birthright, which is a concept I was talking about at length in Healers of the Earth. It's also connected to what we call the light body. And what I'm feeling very much at this moment is the light body is going through a lot. This is where everything is held. It's in the light body. The light body is what people tend to call the soul. It is made up of the etheric body and the astral body. And it's called the light body because it is a body of light holding your light, the different lights that make up you, right? So the light body is holding density. It's also holding the black magic, it's the spells, the curses. And right now, based on this particular placement, the day we're doing this, which is a spiritually intense day in the sense of like in our history, the events that have happened. And in terms of the occult, the number 9 and 11 themselves are symbolic and they have a lot of power. It's the beginning number and the end number, right? When we can count, right? And so typically on this particular day, I'm feeling this density because we are the awakening, we are the lineage liberators, we're the genetic path cutters, we are the indigos, and we have a shield that we're part of. And that shield, when cosmic events are happening, tends to be affected a lot by these dense emotions, right? So I know you've definitely been feeling these dense emotions, dense energies, not just emotions, right? In the spirit realm as well as the astral realm and the different parts, right? So what is being highlighted or what is coming through right now is the importance of us understanding and having a deeper relationship with the light body, our light body that is holding all the information and shielding and protecting the light body in particular points when there's energy that is being collectively affecting the light body. And this is usually full moon events and cosmic events, astrological events. This is when we need to be super like attuned to that, right? So this is just what I wanted to share about like what's in the field. So the bed in the field is that a lot of the awakening lineages have been going through a lot of density in the last 2 weeks, the beginning of May. And that density, what's coming in right now in this moment is really connected to the awakening of the feminine frequency, the divine mother principle returning. And when the divine mother principle is returning, it comes with this chaos because it's the body of earth. The mother principle is the material, right? And so because of that, our physical bodies are always as above, so below, reflecting what's happening to the earth herself. So the body has been getting a lot of pushback, chaos, attacks happening in the body, and that has been creating burden. And this has looked like a lot of people's illnesses spiking up, flare-ups coming up, the body going through very visceral experiences in the dream landscape, as well as just during the day, feeling that density in the body. Either feeling a deep hunger with the body or just not having a lot of interest with eating per se. And this is also because of what's happening with the body. The body is always the temple of God, and it is the body of Christ that we are all building as the awakening lineages, the body that will host the Christ impulse. And because of that, this is why the body has always been attacked with regeneration, with disease, right? Why miasma has been dead energy has been cultivated in our world so that the body degenerates. And when the body has degenerated, it cannot hold the Christ impulse, right? And this is the issues that we are facing as the healers, that we're facing as the Lineage Liberators. And there has come a very clear order, even now as I'm speaking. The report I'm receiving is the importance of all the awakening lineages to begin to really focus on the body and taking care of the body, because the energies that are coming in are going to increase in power as we continue on the timeline. And on this particular day, something powerful is happening as I speak, where we are timeline jumping to the prophesied timeline. And the timeline jump is the completion of the spiritual lessons we've been doing in the last 7 years. And we are timeline jumping to the next 2 years, to 2025, when we will complete the 9th cycle, right? And begin a new chapter, right? So there is a leap here that we can do, and that leap is done through the body, because it's the body that hosts the spirit, is the body that hosts the mind and the heart of God and the heart of the Christ.
Speaking on what you just said in terms of the importance of focusing on the body, a lot of people who are spiritually inclined go one direction or the other, where they completely neglect their body and they have body issues, or they are obsessive people with their body. So this record or this code that you uncovered, can you expand a bit more on why in the next 3 years in this timeline shift that people can have access to, why the body is important? Of course, I have my own perspective as a physical trainer and connecting with traditional Chinese medicine, as well as the inner organs, but I'm curious to see the codes that you're receiving with this channel.
Oh, Shiakia me. So the body is holding and hosting consciousness, right? It's like consciousness was poured into the body. And for consciousness to have life and its experiences, for it to animate, it's animated through the physical body in this planet, right? And so the level in which your true eternal consciousness can be poured into the body is dependent on the well-being and the health of that body, right? In the beginning, the Adamic prototype, when it was created, right? The Adamic prototype was created to host a certain level of the spirit or consciousness. Even if we're to go into scripture or the Bible, this is the code that's coming in. Part of the reason, in the very beginning of Genesis, we see this idea of Adam and Eve that seemed to be slightly not that intellectual or that solid in the earth. They were just given directives and they followed through with those directives. And that is a reflection of the level in which the consciousness was in the body. It feels like not all of the eternal consciousness was hosted in that template or in that prototype, right? And so right now, as we've been evolving the prototype or the human body, because this is what we've been doing all these thousands of years. We've been evolving this body so that it hosts more of the consciousness, so that it's able to do more. And so what we have been able to achieve with all the developments, the creation of the material world as we see it, it is connected to the merge of consciousness, the mind which hosts the bigger cosmic mind, and the body which allows all of these to take place, right? So we can think of, this is what the record that's coming through is saying, that the body is like the spirit in material form. It's actually another version of your spirit. It's just in a different form, the form of the human template, right? But it is spirit, it is divine, it is angelic, even if it's mortal. It was originally designed to actually be immortal, right? To host and hold consciousness for a longer period of time, right? But because of the many different choices that we've made as humanity, the many prophecies, timelines that have laid out, there's been the template didn't go into its full capacity of hosting the eternal consciousness at a greater degree. And so many bodies are not actually holding at most 50% of consciousness. We are holding less than that of our true consciousness. But the timeline Earth is in is that she is jumping to become a cosmic citizen. And as she's entering part of the cosmic society and culture, a new mind is required, and so is a new body, a body that can hold more consciousness, a body that can hold the cosmic mind. And this cosmic mind is also the mind of the Christ. It is the mind of the multidimensional that can perceive different realities beyond the physical one. So the body is actually going through metamorphosis. It's changing to become a cosmic body. And so that process of becoming a cosmic body, we are the generation starting that. We may not experience the version where the body is cosmic. When it's cosmic, it will be able to travel across dimensions without any technology, because it would have changed and mutated itself to be able to do that. So that mutation, DNA mutation, is taking place right now with this generation, with this lineage. And it may take us years, even centuries, to become fully a cosmic civilization or a cosmic planet. But the process has to begin somewhere. And we are that lineage that is beginning that. In fact, we've actually been on the process here, at least for 100 years. We've been on the process of becoming cosmic, right? But the pace is increasing and it's picking up, and this generation is picking up, and it's at the critical point. As it is in the critical point, the body must be allowed to grow and to expand, and that happens through us releasing all the things that have been making the body too grounded in the material. And these are things that include all the spells, all the curses, all the black magic, all the reversal, all the implants, which is what healers are here to do, to remove these so that the body can become a body of Christ. And the mind can also become the mind of Christ or the mind of God, right? And that is a completely scientific, spiritual, scientific, mechanical process that takes time and years to complete, and sometimes a lifetime to complete. So for those who are receiving this call, and this is a majority of the awakening lineages, those who are awakened, those who are listening to this kind of information, those who have a propensity to the cosmic, we are the guardians, we are the usher and stewards. We are steward in this process, and it's happening through us, through our own bodies. Right? So the process of taking care of the body is to first perceive it as a spiritual template or a spiritual entity. Even if it's in the physical, even if we see it as form, it is part of the infrastructure. It is the cosmos. The body is the cosmos. Everything we see out there is also here in the body, right? It is the smaller version of it, the below that is reflecting the above, right? The microcosm that is reflecting the macrocosm. The body of Earth is this body, your body.
Body is a reflection of our spirit and is our spirit. The mind is not just up here in the head. Our true mind, our true cosmic body is a projection of our whole physical body. The arms, the legs, the heart, the organs, those are all part of our cosmic minds. It becomes easier to understand what we interpret as disease in the body, illness, even emotions manifest disease. So certain emotions that are held within the heart, certain emotions that are held within the lungs. All of those are energetic traces that go back to our true cosmic being, our true cosmic self. So it makes sense, if we are on the path of DNA resequencing, of leveling up to our higher spiritual self, that the requirement is the vessel or the temple that we are utilizing while we're having this earthly 3D experience needs to be cleansed, needs to be purified, and needs to make more space, as you say, to hold the capacity or the impulse of the Christ energy, as well as making space for the DNA resequencing to happen. It's easy to get stuck in where we currently are, how we experience life now, but as you said, in the future timeline of the physical body being able to shift through dimensions, what is required with that? How must the blood, the DNA, the cells in the body resequence? So a lot of that is based on realizing our physical body is not so physical and is only but a piece of the greater essence of what we are truly are in this multidimensional room. This morning I had an experience to where I came out of my meditation where I literally felt like a different being. I felt like my cells in my body had shifted to a degree to be something else. The feeling is there, and as you just said, the spirit, the body is a reflection of the spirit, and it seems like we have it backwards, where we think the body is the body and in the body is the spirit, and the what we typically focus on in terms of spirituality is our spirit and our soul, not realizing our physical body is like the afterthought. So the energy of feeling spirit in the physical body, or feeling the Holy Spirit, is really feeling what we truly are. And the notion that we can feel that indefinitely, consistently, all the time in the physical body, what would that look like? What would that sound like? And how would that shift our thinking? How would that shift our modality of how we live down here? What can people that are listening do to begin to prepare themselves to make more space for their physical body to shift, for them to be the forgers of this new body, cosmic body that's anchoring in? What can people do? How can they align themselves to get ahead of the curve? It will take time for the collective of all of us to get to that point, but it is certain that the genetic path cutters, the lineage liberators, have a head start on this because they're already tuned into this. So what does your record say of what people can do to begin to make this shift more readily, more easily, to shift into this timeline to help anchor it in?
So to anchor this, the first thing that needs to happen is to return to the body itself. And this is the ancient knowledge and the ancient ways of the guardians of healing, the guardians of evolution, the healers of old. They've always known that it is the body of earth and the body of the human, right, that allows us to travel, that allows us to grow, to expand, to pass through the spiritual initiations. Right. And so because of that, this is why there's always been, particularly in indigenous cultures, a lot of processes, ceremonies, cultivations that are focusing on the body. And the focus is often about what we stand for here in what I used to school: purification, restoration, and liberation. Right. I think these are the trinities that we have to be practicing. Right. The process of purification, to purify, is to release all that is making it difficult for you to be the mind of Christ, to be the spirit of Christ or God, to be the heart of God. And when I am speaking about being the heart of God, and I'm speaking about being the mind of Christ, it's a real physical event that happens through the body, right? And for example, when we speak of the mind, here we're talking about the mind that is able to perceive timelines. You can see the future, past, and present. You can see the records of information that allows you to share with others what is going to play out based on what is in the physical body and the greater bodies beyond the physical body. But the physical body is the first template. And so whatever the physical body is holding, even if it's coming from other bodies, it's going to play out. What is in the body is what's going to play out in the near future, right? So if your body is, for example, constantly stressed, that is informing the field what to play out. And it's creating timelines, it's creating the timeline that becomes your life, the life experiences you have, right? So understanding that we have to become more attuned on the level of stress we're putting on the body, the overwhelm, the way in which we function in the world that is more geared to just being dysregulated, being all over the body is not in ease, in rest, right? So there is a whole pole of where the body has to become rested, and that is the way in which purification can actually anchor. When you purify, if you go and, for example, cleanse, but after you cleanse, you still enter a stressful work situation, stressful life, then the purification is undone. The restoration can take place, right? The purification will be at a certain level, and these add on to each other. After you're purified, that's when there can be restoration in the physical body and the light body. And that's when you can begin to change your future, can change what plays out as your legacy, as your life. Right? So what needs to happen is, as you are doing the purification processes of cleansing yourself, it's also important to physically remove all the stresses of your life and navigate and create new boundaries with whatever is stressing you. Make new choices that are not going to perpetuate the level of stress and the level of dysregulation. So there is a point where it is about the spirit and also very practical. And this is where we're being called back into it. We are creating the infrastructure that will host the body of Christ. And that infrastructure is the body can be stressed, right? Your life itself can be filled up with things that eat at the body's life force and your spirit's life force. Right. So what in your life needs to be moved, shifted, right? And there are also new choices to be made that are statements of who you are choosing to be, which energies you are aligning yourself with. And these are choices of service to self or service to others. What happens when you're in service to others? Others is the collective lineage, the collective species, the collective consciousness. That's what service to others is. And service to others isn't about self-neglect. Sometimes you're in service to others through self-love and taking care of yourself. Sometimes when you commit to healing yourself, you're actually serving the collective, right? So there is a need for that. And the most important one, and this is particularly a code for the healers, there are new codes available on how to reverse black magic, curses, hexes, reversals, and anti-life forces that are available right now. These are available through the mind of Christ, the cosmic mind, right? And these have been actually already been made available through the halls of records, right? Which many healers are currently, a lot of them are going to the halls of records or the halls of Amenti to receive these codes when you're sleeping, when you're receiving visions. And the particular specific experience you've been going through, particularly around your body and what is flaring up, what is showing up within the body itself, even if it feels like an attack to you, there are codes behind that as well that are the elixir, that are the medicine for addressing what you're seeing. So with all the experiences that we are going to go through, and these experiences are going to continue all of September. This is actually, we are in training. Many of us who have been trained through the experiences we're having. And that training is to show you the codes that will help you repair and heal the body. And we heal the body by removing these hexes and black magic and so forth. And we now have new codes of how to do that. The ancient ways are definitely important, the processes of cleansings and so forth. There are also other cosmic processes for those who are here to bring those cosmic codes, right? If you are watching this, you're probably one of those people who are bringing these cosmic codes, right? And so these cosmic codes, we are to learn to access them. And this is through stillness that is grounded in the body, learning to be present with the body, because the body actually, I see it when I go into the grids, even now, right? And I'm in my grids right now in the back, because that energy started in the back where there is a burden. You can see the reversals, like the black magic running and creating and knotting down particular aspects of your timelines. And so there will be a struggle in a particular point of your timeline. And that's because there is a curse here, there's a black magic here, there's a hex. Some of these black magic hexes are self-created. They're not always external. Some of them are self-created. Some of them are outputs from your lineages. Some of them are from other timelines, right? And so you are playing out, you've put yourself in a spell. And that spell is literally held in the physical body, right? And the first thing you see is these spells. But if you go deeper, shiakia, if you go, there's a thread, and that thread has code, and it has the original template of the body of your field before the black spell, the black magic was there. And that is the code. So there's a need for us to go back and remember, like, what was there before the spell happened. And then we do a reverse. We just reverse what happened. And when we do that, and sometimes this is through just literally remembering that you break the spell, through the dreams you're having, through you seeing. Sight is important right now. When you allow yourself to see and witness, you will begin to reverse these spells and this black magic. And then there is also high level processes that can be done by the oracles and the cosmic healers that will actually begin the reversals, right? And and it's a bit like this, like what I just did. Like, it has a lot to do with allowing your spirit to do the process of reversal. And how do you do that? Your spirit has to be in your body to travel with you, right? The cosmic spirit has to be in the body, which is why we have to do the healing, right? So that we can have more and more of our consciousness here, so that it can perceive and it can give us the codes, right? So the process is what we're doing in Wera Mystery School. This is why it's taking us 1 year as a preliminary. It's actually more than 1 year, to be honest. And the changes we're doing in Wera Mystery School are going to allow us to have more time, right, to do what I'm talking about, to actually begin to reverse black magic and curses in a way that it is grounded in the body. The secret is the body and the light body have to be in coherence, right? If your body is in stress and your light body, which is flickering and you're activating, is on another direction, your life is just gonna look like that, chaos.
The level of stress and the level of strain that we're putting on the physical body. Many times under many modalities, I've studied the importance of living a very simple life, what people often call humble, or having a life of gratitude. The constant need to expand and seek more and seek greater things. There's definitely a code in there for people that are dealing with money distortions or money problems. But the code that came through for me in this record retrieval or this information is to simplify your life as much as possible and be aware of the exchange. When you say yes, or you energetically agree to do things that will deplete your life force energy without you realizing it. The practice of mental chastity is something that I've discussed in our Sacred Union workshop, but there's also energetic chastity, to where you are not overwhelming your nervous system, your emotions, because you have this modality that you've got to prove yourself to your lineage, you got to prove yourself to your siblings and your family around you that you can be successful, you can be the big entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in doing so, based on this modality of preserving the body, we can sometimes do more harm than good by overexerting ourselves energetically, to where we think that we're running the race of liberation and we're really running a race of depletion, to where we won't even have enough energy, enough quanta to complete our spiritual mission, to be the anchors of this new timeline where the body shifts to a cosmic body that can shift through dimensions. The perception, as I said earlier, has to completely change on how we're perceiving our body, on how we designate our time and our energy to, if this body is going to be the vessel of a spiritual body, how much do we need to cut back on how much we're overexerting ourselves mentally, emotionally, stressing ourselves out because we're trying to get the quote unquote goal or the mission that we think is so important. All the while, the greater multidimensional realm, we don't have enough gas or quanta to accomplish that, based on over complicating our lives. The what the saying goes of the monk who lives in the hut and is happy and completely attuned with his spirit, versus the billionaire who never sleeps. There's a definite in between. Neither one is the absolute perfect path, but the message for me is to really, for all of us that are lineage liberators, to go through your life with a fine-tooth comb and really examine what you're giving away without you really realizing it, in terms of energetics, on how much something that you may not notice may be making you feel tired, maybe making you feel overwhelmed, maybe making you feel the thing that you actually want to do in terms of your spiritual gift, focusing on cultivating that. You don't have the time to do it because this other thing that you prioritize as important, or that's going to give you more money, you can't even get access to your divine inheritance because you're so focused on the 3D lens of having to get the goal, or getting enough money, or making this goal, to where the truth is you may never get there because your energetics will not allow that to happen, yet alone allow you to have space to anchor in this Christ impulse for the cosmic body. So what dropped in for me is to be very discerning and to have a level of chastity about how much energy you're giving off without realizing it, creating a seal, a barrier, to where you don't allow yourself to engage with certain things at the expense of thinking that you're getting more money or more energy, but you're actually losing more than what you're actually gaining.
Definitely. What's interesting is that many healers in the collective, the awakening leaders and oracles and shamans have been getting that code very intensely this September, and that is the code of managing our time so that we have more rest, right? So that we are not always just like running around and doing and doing and doing. As we are stepping into the cosmic body, the cosmic mind, the way in which we manifest and create life, right, is different. It's entirely on the spirit. It's about the integration of the spirit and the body. And it's about what we're doing is that the pace in which it used to take to manifest something is going to increase with the coming generation, such that they will be able to manifest faster, right? I mean, obviously, the greater future is that it's where while you're on earth, you can think of something and it pops up in your hand, right? But that's a future timeline of the human race, right? But for us to get to that is we need to understand this now, right? That it is in the spirit. It is the spirit that is creating your life. It is the entire combination of mind, body, and spirit that is doing that. Right? But it's the spirit that holds the force and the power. And so when we create our lives in a way that we are more spirit and we make our choices from the spirit rather than the material, rather than the survival, rather than all the body is a driver. It's like the ship itself, which is why we have to take care of it. Right? But the where we're going, the map, who has the map, is the spirit. Right? So you can't just let the ship drive itself. Right? You have to allow the spirit to drive the ship. Right? And you do that by the allowing the integration of the spirit and the body. And the process in the beginning, when we start to do this, it feels like you're slowing down your life. Like things slow down first. And then after that, the manifestation of your life begins to become faster. Right? And we slow down because we've been on a aimlessly allowing the ship to drive itself. Now you have to slow down and see where you went wrong, which corner you took that you shouldn't have taken, right? And you are recalibrating and trying to figure out, where am I in the map, right? With the spirit as your counselor, your mentor. And then you can begin to go to the right direction that is aligned with you. And so that looks like slowing down, being more in stillness, being more in the earth, being more in the body, right? And trusting the intuition and the wisdom of the body, and removing the impulse to move faster because this world is moving faster, right? That is the spell, the moving faster, the overworking, the overdoing, right? So in my community that I am part of, we've been doing a lot of like learning how to manage our time. And it's not so much that you just know what you're doing every hour, but it's more of like prioritizing what is important to you. Right? And what has come for me, for example, has been like my mornings are so important for me to be with spirit and to cultivate that. And so from 6 a.m. until 11:30, this is literally time for me to be with the body, to do the work with the DNA, to do the work of stillness, of prayer, of gratitude. Right? One of the first things I do in the morning is gratitude, just to pay gratitude to Source Creator. Right? And that is also the seed that is within me, the God seed within me, right? And all the forces of creation and all the forces of light that are co-creating with me life, right? So all of this is important. Like, we remove stress by actually not being controlled by time. And we know what we're doing and we're not just running around. This has been so powerful for me, even as I'm recalibrating, as we're recalibrating our work with what I'm used to school and focusing on the things that matter. Ultimately, what is going to remain, right? When all is done.
What remains? You said it. At the end, what is the point? What is the purpose of starting a healing business? What is the purpose of seeking wisdom? What is the purpose of learning to heal others? The greater purpose that extends beyond what we perceive in this realm. As you said, the goal or the level of immortality of our natural organic blueprint was this body was not designed to decay and cease to exist. It was designed to transfer and enter other realms. So that in itself changes the perspective and the mindset that we have of our bodies of, okay, when I hit 50, downhill from here, I'm just preparing to die and meet my maker, versus what can I do to change this for the lineages to come? What can I do? And it's everything that I'm doing, is this based on an assumption that my body is designed to decay? But if we shift that assumption to my body is supposed to be designed to continue to live on in some way, shape, or form, and most people associate with that with the spirit. But now that we have this code coming, it changes how we are, quote unquote, living our life down here. What would it look like to prepare yourself to live for 500 years? All of a sudden, the thing that you feel like is, oh, I only got so much time in my life. Now you have plenty of time And I think that would scare a lot of people to know that you have 500 years, 200, 300 years to figure out what you're supposed to be doing and to completely embody that, and giving you time to be a master healer that has studied the depths of spirituality from so many different perspectives. That's a level of responsibility. But again, that shifts your approach. The approach of, I'm just going to hurry up and be a good spiritual person until it's time for me to leave here and I don't want to come back. Even that changes. The idea of, I don't want to come back, but you're here for 500 years. What is that going to be? What that means that you're going to have to face the very thing that you say you don't want to face. You're here for 500 years, but if your body is able to shift through dimensions and perceive other realms, that changes everything. The perception of, is this place really as bad as we make it to be, or is it just like us? Something went and became inorganic and it lost or forgot its conscious power, and now it's working on retaining that. So that code, like I said, in itself changes the whole complexity on how we look at life as humans, how we experience our life, how we set plans up. Everything from a mass appeal is set up to prepare us for death. You better get that health insurance. You better get that life insurance. You better get that protection for your children at a certain age. Oh, I just can't wait. People that work, most of the time they're saying is, I can't wait till I can retire. So what would a life look like to where you were constantly living a life of a retiree, to where you're embodying and only doing the things that you want to do, not overwhelming yourself, living the life of an elder at 35 years old, to where you know, I can only exert so much energy because I need to set time for my DNA to shift. I need to set time for this vessel to be able to maintain the holy essence of what I am more.
Yeah, wow, that is definitely a really powerful thought. Like, what if I have 500 years? I mean, personally, that question is a question I've thought of before. Like, but the way I was thinking of it, it was more of like, would I want to be a vampire, and never die? And my answer was always no. I don't want to be a vampire. I don't want to be here for a long period of time. And I think my perspective with that, it was always because, like, I think that I would be so devastated to see generations of the human species going through different suffering. But that was only in the context of, oh, you are a vampire, meaning you are the only one who's living, who doesn't die, right? So you see the fall and rise of humanity, but it changes if everyone is able to live 500 years, right? In the Bible, the lineages of Abraham, they all died around 700, 900 years old, right? So if that's the template, the prototype we're returning to, and even beyond that, and that is definitely what is happening. It does shift this pressure we've put on ourselves, that I need to know what my mission is by the time I'm 35 years old, and I need to follow through with that. It shifts, and this is the source of the stress that the body has been holding for a long time. The idea that we have limited time, and the idea also that we are just the body and mortal, that I just gotta make sure I leave because I'm gonna die and I'm never gonna return, and this is my one life, right? And so we live with that pressure, even if it's not conscious, unconsciously. Everything we have created, every system in the world is around the idea that you've got one life and you must make sure you achieve everything you ever wanted in this one life, right? And the level of sadness that a lot of people have around not living that purpose and not knowing what that purpose is, right? It comes from this, like, I must know what it is, and it's a very definite thing. And for me, as someone who has pursued my purpose, and I live a purposeful life, 100%. However, I've come to realize the purpose is constantly changing all the time. And it's not a one finite thing, which is why to someone, they may think I changed my mind a lot, but it's like, more, my purpose is shifting all the time to something new. And when you kind of like enter that stream and you let go of like my purpose is one thing, there is definitely like a lightness that happens to the body, like, oh, there isn't that much pressure. The idea is to live life well, to live a life of being well loved, being well resourced, well supported, and definitely healthy. When you arrive to that, there is that release now where it's the impulse is about creativity, creation. What do I feel like creating? What do I feel like contributing to the collective, right? So if we took the mindset of, like, as you're saying, it's you have 500 years, right? Like, what would you slow down? What are the things that you've been doing that you felt like they are like, I'm on a timeline, I gotta get the thing. And if I don't get it, this is going to be a problem, right? And also, of course, the responsibility that comes because we are not yet able to live up to 500 years. But what will it take for you to live longer than the average human? Like, right, at least 120, that I think most people are not able to go beyond 150 for sure, right? I know you have a different idea.
Well, there's an actual book that I've read cover to cover numerous times where this man lived to be 230, and this was through
Wow.
Chinese medicine, and he followed pretty much what I was saying. He lived a very simple life. He often hiked in the mountains. He often harvested his own herbs that were at the mountaintops, and he would have eras where he would have children with women and they would be his wives. Then they would age to where his children would have grandchildren, and he would find another wife that was young enough to bear children, and he was outliving all of them. So that in itself is proven to me, like, there might be someone out there has lived 300, 400 years, and they just, nobody knows about them, and they have been able to master that level of immortality to where you look at them and they don't look past anything past 50 to 80 years old. You don't know. So for me, I know that that's a possibility right now. And what I see, the key is, how much are you overexerting your life force that you have? How much are you using it in negative emotions, depression, sadness, frustration, overwhelm? Even from the Egyptian times, you weren't considered an adult until you turned 35. And I know here in America, like, as soon as you're 18, you're an adult. But it's going to take you a minute for you to figure out what your purpose is. It's going to take you a minute to figure out who you really are, what you're here for. And there was like as you said, this lack of this rush, this huge, I gotta hurry up, I'm running out of time, is really what makes all of us operate under this lens of stress and anxiety. But if you know you have more time, if you know no one's pushing you, slowing down the process of life, allowing us to really truly be in a meditative mindset. So many people use that in their gnosis of reflection and meditation, but the greater truth is we have a world that has been built around us that constantly creates levels of stress, of anxiety. Everyone's in a rush to go to work, to have children, to get married. Even people, we know a lot of people that are in their 30s that are freaking out that they will not get married or have a husband or a wife because what society has told them is considered normal, what age you're supposed to have kids, what age you're supposed to settle down, what age you're supposed to know. When the greater reality is most people at those ages really don't know. They're still figuring it out. And even what you were saying about someone who would be 500 years old, observing, seeing the rise and the fall of the human race, there's a level of sadness to that, but there's also a level of divine wisdom of someone who had the capability to see how evolution of humans have shifted for 500 years. Imagine the level of wisdom that that person would have, and how much of an elder they would be, to where they were probably perceiving things very different from someone whose lifespan is 80 years old. They would probably have a completely different perspective. They would be able to map patterns and habits that we couldn't even begin to fathom.
One of my favorite TV show, I'm a sci-fi girl, is the originals or originals, right? And the originals is a show about these vampires. They are the original vampire family, right? And I like this show because of the quotes that are in there, right? In terms of like the spiritual quotes. But this family in the story, they had been living for at least 2,000 years, right? And they have done exactly what we're speaking about, seeing the rise and fall of the human race, and they had done even contributed to the rise and fall. And when we meet them in the story, they've been living this long, and most of them, there was a family, two brothers and a sister mostly, had come to realize that what matters is family, right? And it is love. But after all the experiences that they had went through, all the, the fun, exotic things you can experience on this planet, it is family that makes all of it worth it, all of it incredible, all of it powerful, right? Which is why I think in what I missed to school, the idea of lineage has always been like so fascinating for me, and understanding that we are connected. Lineage is family, and it's through us understanding that it is cultivating the relationships that we are in, right? And these are the relationships we are born into, which is our families, our biological families, and the relationships with the new families, the bonds we make with other people along the way because of our values that are similar, or missions and purpose, or just relationships, friendships that are cultivated by just proximity sometimes, right? That this is what makes up part of our lives, our interactions with each other, our relationships with each other, right? That's what we're doing here, right? And so the idea of right relating is also such an important thing. And it's not right relating only with other people, right? But also, what is right relating with yourself, with your body, with your mind, with your soul look like, right? When you are in right relationship in a way that is empowering and expansive and healing, right? And it doesn't require a lot, but it's just right. It's just right for you, right? So that is this is what we're doing in what I missed to school, right? It doesn't feel like when we're talking about lineage liberation, we're actually thinking of this new dream of what does it look like to be living for 500 years. But it's more of like, what's within that? What will be the point of even having to live 500 years, right? It will be, yes, about the experiences you could have, but also the way in which you can expand your capacity to relate and to love and to guide and to support and right.
And with that being said, this has been another episode of Lineage Liberators podcast. I'm Wef Xavier, and she is Joy Muhammad. And until next time, stay spiritual.
Lineage Liberators podcast, spiritualizing, evolving, and liberating human DNA, consciousness, and lineages. Lineage Liberation. All right.